Welcome back to the Positively Negative podcast,
where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of positivity in a world that can be quite negative.
I'm Dalio.
And I'm Team Humble.
And we're glad you're here. I love that. That can stay.
Okay.
Wow.
Isn't it funny that, like, the only difference between thinking you're real clever one day and just hating the hell out of it is just time?
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's different.
I literally closed my eyes there in disdain. I don't know how you do eyes with disdain, but my eyes were disdained.
I don't know why we don't change it, because I keep forgetting how bad it is until we have to live through it every episode.
It's not that it's getting progressively bad, though.
I know. I hate it more and more each week.
It's maturing like a really bad cheese. We're talking about our intro, of course.
Because, like,
really hate it.
If you're listening, maybe if you're, like, binging these, you're probably getting a sense for it in a more condensed way. Like, every week, the first week, we were like, we're funny. And then the second week, we were like, okay, we get it. And now we're kind of like...
Now we're like the cousin that nobody invites for Christmas dinner now.
Yeah, the cousin that smells weird.
It's pretty bad. Yeah, we need to change that. We need to jazz it up. It needs to have sound effects. It needs to be like, yeah. Yeah,
music and
everything.
And all kinds of other stuff.
We fell in love.
So even that would be better, but I think we'd probably hate that in a week too.
Probably.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome to the worlds of Dales and Phils.
Wow, here we are.
It's Wednesday, 6th of March. We're in March now. How much of a shock is that to you, March?
I don't like it. I'm not going to acknowledge it. I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Great. So moving strictly on,
I'm like the flat earther of time.
Oh man, that documentary was wild the other day.
Yeah, it's called Behind the Curve. If you're interested.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. I thought it was going to be really just kind of like half-assed and, just riding the meme of it. But they actually did kind of deep dive, like, what it is like for these people.
For these people. I love that.
They have conferences like we do.
Okay, so one thing I will say about that is that regardless of what side of the fence you're on in terms of, like, I haven't got an opinion either way. If you have an opinion,
up there, so.
If you're subscribe to the scripture of the planet being round, or you're fine with the idea that it's flat, that's entirely up to you. What was most prevalent in that documentary for me was that people want something to be attached to. And also I feel like, isn't that just the way that tribes get together around something that, like, tickles a fancy in your brain, right? So like this notion that everybody's talking about it, or their eyes are. I feel like it's the ultimate platform for an introvert to be like, I exist on planet Earth, even if it's flat, like or round. Like it's interesting how somebody's entry point into meeting other people that are similar to them, or have certain beliefs, or get behind something, kind of aggregate together. Like, I mean, if you listen into like MSP waves on the Steam blockchain, all the audio that goes out every week, certain kind of clientele in there. Like you get.
Interesting they use the word clientele.
Well, they are. Yeah. Like in terms of like crypto people and anarchists and.
The thing that I really noticed is that
change makers.
It's like you're gonna have an accepting group of people if you're all unified against a common enemy. And I felt like a lot of them all really felt like the quote odd man out, the the underdog.
Yeah. They
felt like they were the weird one of their family members, and I think like a lot of crypto people feel like that too.
But it's all just characters, right? They're just people. I mean, people stand out in a crowd because you're a character in some way. Not necessarily the way that you look, but the way that you've got to where you are today, your journey, how you evolved or devolved to get to where you are in life.
Right.
And I found it kind of heartwarming more than... I wasn't interested in the technicalities of it, because there's always somebody trying to prove somebody else wrong about some information that was, is relevant for a moment. Like, I don't think I could go through life wearing T-shirts about I'm a flat earther and sticking bonnet things on the back of my, on my car and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that sort of niche. Like, I can't go that niche where the main thing that I get up and worry about every day is if the world is flat or round.
Right, or the fact that it just feels limiting to me, and I hate the feeling of limits. It feels limiting to me to have that be your main identity point.
Yeah.
That this is, I believe in a certain shape.
Yeah.
And you don't, and that's what makes me different and special. Wow. And that's really sad to me because those people are different and special and unique and talented for a million other reasons that have nothing to do with the shape of the earth. So that kind of shows to me like there's like an identity, not an identity crisis, but maybe a people having a hard time finding their identity. So groups like that are attractive.
Or maybe people need to live in 3D a bit more.
Or maybe
Or go 5D.
Well, but if the
Or go
earth
double
is
D.
flat,
Oh, maybe.
if the earth is flat, why should my ideas be 3D?
If the world is flat, then where's your personality at? Oh.
Wow, it's true because it rhymes.
All right.
No, yeah.
Yeah. So, quickly moving on from that, because that's not what we were going to talk about today. Dale has actually put some topics up. This is positively negative, right? I did just play the right intro.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Do you want to hit the
Yeah.
topics on the doors?
Thank you.
I want some like 70s like.
You want stingers.
I want some stingers now.
I know.
I want a soundboard that I can
I
just
know.
press stuff and we can both be like.
Except I know you'll use it for evil. Like I know when you're sick of hearing me talk, you'll just start playing like the
Quality
slow,
content.
the slow Oscars music, like na 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 na.
I want to get you off.
Yeah.
I want to thank Sriracha.
And also, I do want to thank Sriracha. All right, this week I've had this written down since we first made this little Trello board that we work from for our podcast.
By the way, that's a gunship in the background. Can you hear that?
Oh my gosh. It's our spaceship has come to collect
It's also
us.
the intro music to the A-Team, if you can find them. Dun, 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 dun. We're going to go with it because it's a great chopper sound.
Wait.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wait, be quiet. Oh my god. I feel the ground.
Yeah. That's an American Huey. Because you can hear the rotors going.
How do you know it's not an Apache?
Because if it was an Apache, we'd feel it. Like those things are weighty.
Apache's the only helicopter I know, so I just
An Apache gunship is like. Dum, 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 dum. They're like V8s or V12s, like twin. Dum, 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 dum. They're bloody.
Just fuck you machines.
They're gut wrenching. You can really tell them a bit like Spitfires. You can really tell a Spitfire as well.
It's gone. It didn't see us.
That was wild.
Makes you feel like such a little rodent on planet Earth when something like that goes by. That's probably what, like chipmunks feel like when we walk past.
Wow. What? You have an opinion of how chipmunks feel like?
Well, I just feel like it's probably overwhelming to them.
I think a lot of...
I think it's how shitty it must be to be an animal in 2019. Come on.
I think any year it's pretty bad to be any kind of animal, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it's probably worse now
because of climate change and like the junk we're throwing in the ocean and everything. But I always just...
I would say eagles have probably got it bad right now in terms of choppers. I would have said that would be worse
They were
than
the first
chipmunks.
choppers.
Unless chipmunks have suddenly developed them wingsuits and started like...
No, I'm not talking about how helicopters affect all animals. I'm just talking about how all animals... we're the Apache gunships of the land where it concerns... Don't look at me like that.
No, you're right.
Chipmunks.
But the topic we were going to get onto was our new bread process. So, like,
Well,
I'm just
yeah.
like, wow.
But the gunships happen. Gunships happen. That's a shirt.
Love that.
Gunships happen.
I can see Krim wearing that.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's her last song at the end of the thing.
Because gunship. Shout out, Krim.
Shout out, Krim.
Krim,
skills.
Krim. Okay, this week I wanted to talk. I always thought it would be nice to do a This Week I Learned.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Because it's like so important to learn.
We learn so much every week.
I feel like I learn every single day. The thought of what an ignorant asshole I am is reinforced to me.
Yeah, I get you.
So any day that I can
level it up.
Yeah, exactly. And the more you know, that whole thing about the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Do you think the more we learn, we push something out?
Like there's just a max capacity?
Yeah.
Well, I do know, like...
I kind of get scared about the idea of having too much in there.
No, I think what your brain does, like scientifically they've proven what your brain does is it just shuffles the order. So your brain has that file system that says these are your recent things.
Oh man, my file system needs defragging, let me tell
mine
you.
does too. But your brain will say, okay, I keep these things close because I can grab them quickly. That's like your everyday things that you need to know, just in order to live and get around. And then...
Your name is Phil.
Exactly.
This is where you live.
Exactly.
Pay the man. I got you.
This is how to make bread. So that's why they say like practice makes perfect, because it keeps bringing that
muscle
like
memory.
skill.
Muscle memory. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
It keeps bringing that skill like into your recently used files.
Right.
And then I don't know if they go away, but there are other things like you don't use it, you lose it, or something like that.
Are they immutable?
No, I think they're pretty mutable. They kind of go further and further into the ether. I don't know if they disappear.
You make it sound like a big filing cabinet that goes really far back.
But that's why I think meditation and mindfulness is so important on a very practical, like neurological level, because it helps you. It actually does defrag the drive. Like it takes out all the bloatware that your brain is like installing in the background all throughout your day. And it's like, okay, these are the ching, 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 ching. These are the things I'm interested in or want to focus on.
Maybe all conferences should have meditation 5 minutes before the first speaker and 5 minutes after the next speaker.
That's so good. And flatbreads.
Well, let's get into flatbreads.
All right. That's so good. I love that. So, okay, so we if you listen to this podcast, you probably have heard that we try to like buy bulk grains. So there are 3 main food groups that we buy in bulk at the moment, which are whole wheat pasta, atta flour, which is like an Indian way of processing whole wheat flour, and rice.
I just realised we're the influencers of bread making.
We're like the tri-grain supremacy.
Everybody else is doing videos about fashion and technology, and me and Dale are like, what do you mean it's £4.75 for 5 kilograms of butter? Give me a break.
Yeah, because it's becoming a little bit of like people watch the stock market and they watch the crypto markets, and we watch the basmati rice markets.
We do. I tell you what though, we've cornered the damn market on rice right now, and we've got the best rice going on. I'm telling you.
We really do. We have this 2-year aged basmati rice, which
insane.
is I went down this rabbit hole of learning about aged rice and why you would age rice and what that even means. So that's something I learned, but I wanted to try a different process of making our breads. So what we make specifically is a bread called paratha, and it comes from the two words in I believe Sanskrit. It goes that far back, Sanskrit, but possibly not. Again, I am an idiot. Par, which means like folding or pleating, and then atta, which is like the flour, the bread. So it's like folded breads.
Which is stone ground, super milled.
Yes, and it's processed without heat, which means it retains a lot more of the nutrients.
Okay.
So, which is the point of the stone grinding. So, so because of the folding nature of the breads, it's like almost like origami. There's like everybody has their different way of doing it, and I imagine if you grew up like in India, maybe different regions have their different ways, or like everybody's grandma had a different way of doing it.
So
that's something I don't have any like blood link to anybody.
No frame of reference.
Right, so I'm just like a white girl just trying it on.
Yeah.
So we tried a new way of folding, like
pleating it. Yeah,
pleating the dough and then rolling it out. You kind of wrap it around itself, and what it does is because there's layers of ghee or like butter, clarified butter in between each layer, it gives this like really crispy, like almost like a croissant like texture to like this like flatbread. So picture like a naan bread or like a just like a fried flatbread or a tortilla.
Yeah.
But with this like really crispy, flaky, buttery. Wow.
We've got a plane
texture.
now. We don't live at the end of an airport. No. I just want you to know that. So okay. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Quickly, I just need to throw this in here. It's completely changed my way of looking at breads now, and to more so now when I go into a supermarket or small convenience store, there's fucking shopping carts full of bread, like as if to say like Please come back and eat the bread.
I know. It's like,
did you not
it's like as
notice
soon
that
as
last
you're
time
not
we went?
single anymore.
Yeah,
There's like all these
people knocking on you.
everybody's
Hey,
like
I heard
interested
you're
in you.
single. Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
the bread version of
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah, you really do notice it. But also, it's funny because we're like snobbing our nose at like 40p reduced breads, like too expensive, because we know like
2 pence.
Of course, time has a cost, but that's something that's therapeutic and something that's enjoyable.
Exercise.
Like, yeah, I consider that like recreation time. I don't consider that work time.
Also,
putting breads together.
Also, it's Wednesday, right? And we on Monday did the breads.
Yes.
Right, we got up Monday morning.
We did a big batch.
We did a
dough.
batch of like how many?
24.
Yeah, 24. So we keep the pleated, rounded up versions, which are kind of spiraled in on themselves.
Yeah.
In a container, and then we roll them out when we need them.
Right.
So,
we have like little hockey pucks of dough.
I mean, from multiple angles, it just really tickles my fancy because it's like being able to like on a Sunday night or a Monday morning, even if I'm on the road. Like, I just need flour and hot water. Like, those are two things that I can easily turn my hand at on the road.
And a hot plate, or even a campfire, like just any source of heat. You don't need any appliances.
Right, just because it's a flat, like, I mean, even you just get a fire going with, like, a flat surface stone or something, like, I can just roll those out, bang, I've got breads, and then I can just, like, put whatever in it, like a cheap veg or whatever.
That's something, that's like, it's because we're talking about this week I learned, that's a type of skill that I like really love and hold dear to my heart, having something like that in my tool belt. Yeah, because I think I've talked about her before. There's a woman on YouTube who does a like a series of recipes from hard times, like if you search a hard time series on YouTube, and they're completely like, they're really kind of wild and impractical. Like, we wouldn't make an apple pie out of Ritz crackers, right? Because that's just, that wouldn't really do anything to feed us.
It's hugely watchable, isn't it?
Yeah, but I just love, there's like, they say that necessity is like the mother of invention. I just love knowing those basic things. Like, it's just a comfort to me that knowing whatever turn my life takes, if I can get myself a bag of flour, I can eat. So, just knowing those things, well, I don't know, there's just like a very baseline comfort for me. Like, it's almost like people who have survivalist skills, like the hardcore bushcrafter people. I'm sure that there's like a very empowering, those people probably walk around, I imagine, with like a very empowered feeling, because they know if civilization goes to absolute shit tomorrow, they're good. They
know what they're doing with seeds, plants,
You're
grains.
Right. I want to know more of that.
Yeah.
They do.
No, I do too. But it also, I think, it rewrites a lot of that old legacy code, if you like. That kind of compulsion code where you would walk into a place and you'd be like, in your head, you'd be literally like, I want to spend $5, right? And you won't even give a shit where it's made, how it's made, where it's from, packaging, yada, yada, yada. But the more things that you do deep dives on, the more like you're involved with things like modding for products, the more you start to see the volume of like 80 million different drones. You get to the point where it's like, I actually want to know the source. Yeah. And then when you dig past that, it's like, I actually want to just make this from source. It feels
like a palate cleanser, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like something so raw and simple.
I think that's where I was going.
Yeah, and like last night was a perfect example. We had yogurt, rice, and breads. And
some sauce from Venezuela.
Right, some like...
Yeah, lime and coconut.
Yeah.
It was wild,
and
but it was nice.
Of course, there are nutritional gaps in there. Like, I'm not here to debate that it's like the perfect way to eat for a long period of time.
Yeah, we have eggs and stuff, protein and stuff.
Yeah, but like, just having a meal that is that like something like rice.
Rice was full.
Yeah, and rice and breads have existed literally. That's like probably the first food groups that there were, right? To keep people sustained. Participating on that level, I think exposes our spoiledness in the West.
Yeah.
And our privilege in the West. But it did feel like this like palate cleanser, and it also, when I'm like, this is gonna sound so lame and cosmic, but when I'm rolling out dough, or like when I'm making pasta from scratch, I feel like I'm participating and I'm doing something this way that somebody did it 5,000 years ago.
I get you.
So there's something, I don't know, there's like a channel there. I like stepping into that lane and being part of that legacy still living on.
Yeah.
But also kind of connecting back. It's like this two-way temporal time shift that you
Love
get
it.
to
Love
participate
it. I mean, we haven't tried yet, and this is going to be awesome when we get our Instapot. But we haven't tried even making chickpeas and hummus from scratch with those breads.
I know.
Can you imagine what hummus and olive oil is going to be like with those breads?
Everything we talk about is like, can you imagine this with these breads?
No, but the thing is that
you're a hummus champion.
I love
when you make it like so good. So good.
Well, they're fundamentals. Like you said, it's fundamentals. And I don't know if you know, but this is where it gets weird. But about 20 years ago, my domain, my bulletin board system was called Fundamental.
Oh, I thought you were going to say.
Because I'm about fundamentals. Like, I think no matter where you get to in your life, if you suffer from mental health or a relationship fall apart or career, or you get really scared about the world, or you have, fall into fear economy, or you just don't know who you are anymore and you want to change drastically in your life, if you have the fundamentals, you have a waypoint.
Yeah.
Right? And you can build from there.
Because you know what it is? It's the empowerment comes from the ability not to have to rely on anybody else.
Yeah.
You don't need a service provider. You don't, if Uber Eats goes down, if
I don't think a lot of people think like that.
Right.
Though, which is scary to me.
And that's where I feel the empowerment portion of it. Like that I wouldn't, if I was the last person on Earth, like we watched that show Last Man on Earth, which we absolutely love and is gone now, but if I was, like, I could work it out. I could keep myself alive. I don't need
You'd be going down to the supermarket, driving your Kia straight through the window and loading the damn thing up with like
wine, but
attar as well, and
wine
like
and flour,
ghee and chickpeas and rice, and you'd be out.
That's it.
That'd be out. Just
those
done.
like,
cans of spam. Spam wrapped together with like.
Those are like the base survival things, and you don't need a service provider, or how we hate middlemen. Not to say that going to this grocery store and buying food is a problem, but it might not always be there.
Well, funny you should say that. Like, as long as you can get hold of grain. I mean, when I used to live in a city over in Nottingham, they had windmills still, and one of them was an active windmill that did the grain.
That did stone ground
the grain. Crazy. Big like wheels, like, and just like one vertical, one like and put it in the middle, and the flour was amazing.
I want an ox to pull like a big stone ground
I know
thing.
you want animals, dear.
I want an ox.
I just had this vision then of like
ox.
Police officer asking to open the pasture window and an ox sticking its head out.
I wonder what like ox milk cheese would be like. Anyway,
baby.
So it's not a big deal because it's like a big whoop. You figured out how to make your damn breads different. But this is like our third major hard fork when it comes to our breads.
Yeah.
And I think this is like we're getting closer. Like this is the best product so far. Which they were always delicious, but I'm obsessed with that. Like I can't ever leave well enough alone. I like trying new things, and I like just like experimenting and being like, oh, but what if we did it like this?
Yeah.
So that was something that we both kind of like have a little new bread adventure.
I'm super enjoying them. Like I get excited about it because the first ones were kind of like phyllo pastry. These ones are a bit more robust and they work. I don't know. I've kind of grown to really like these ones now. Like I wouldn't be bothered about it. I'm kind of tracking mentally in my brain which flour providers and which like rice providers we've got. And this rice we've got right now, where just you can soak it for 20 minutes and then not wash it and cook it, and it's perfect. Falls apart perfect.
So fluffy.
It's like basmati. It's like jasmine rice. It's a bit like that rice that you get multicolored occasionally, like from random places that you get drunk at 3 a.m. in the morning and buy Indian food, and it's probably going to make you spew and poo your pants, but you have it anyway because it's multicolored rainbow unicorns, and you think, yeah, let's go. They know what they're doing.
But I think ours it's nice. It's good. It feels like it's good for digestion. I don't know if that's true, but it feels good.
It feels good, and I was full last night and I enjoyed it, and I didn't feel like I was missing anything out. See something like that, adding from, like I say, the fundamentals, adding onto that, like, oh, I have extra money, or we have extra money to be able to buy like chicken, for instance.
Yeah.
Right? Like probably loads of people are like, oh, be vegan, don't eat chicken. Get you, understand you, know what you're on about, sure, get it. But like taking that up another level for decadence of going chicken route, like kebab, with some pepper and some onions, some chicken, with all those other fundamentals, game changer.
Yeah.
Game changer, because I know we can both provide for 6 friends to be fed cheaply.
Yeah.
You know, instead, if you go away or you're staying at when we get our visa so we can move to the Ozarks.
Oh shit!
Then you can set up a little. Like.
That needs to be one of the things on our soundboard. Move to the Ozarks.
Just like a water sound. Yeah. Meanwhile, back at the Ozarks. Can't wait for season 3. Let's go.
Base camp. So breads. I mean, I could pontificate forever about why it's like empowering and lovely and temporal shifting and traditional, and it's like so lovely to make breads. But
I haven't bought a meal deal in ages. Not that we couldn't necessarily put money into it, but just like now I've changed my complete relationship with sandwiches.
And also, we were talking about last night, when you go to a restaurant and you realize what they charge at restaurants for things, you're like, oh, we got our whole lives. And of course, you're paying for the experience of it, right? Like, you know, when you sit down to eat at a restaurant, you're paying to sit down and to be served, and for the, you know, you're paying for more than just the food that shows up. But you realize what the markup is on that stuff when you're able to buy a 10-pound bag of flour, add some water to it, and feed yourself. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, you just put everything in it. Like we got some cheap veg. We got like, I can't wait to do chickpea stuff. I can't wait to do hummus stuff in there. Beetroot hummus. Like you can go totally down.
Hummus is everything.
You know, feta and all that. Like we've got so many things to experiment with it, and it's perfect food all year round. Like you can make it hearty as you want, or you can make it like summery as you want. So
yeah.
Anyway, strictly moving on.
So 40 minutes on breads.
Yeah, 26 actually. It's kind of scary.
I don't care. I'm passionate about it. I could talk about breads all day.
Next.
Another thing I learned, it was that in the world, which we talked about this a little bit last week, like you're more, I would say, globally aware than I am.
Okay.
But I did not know that South Korea is out here with that 4.8 gig internet speeds on mobile.
I know.
What in the actual fuck?
Well, here's the thing, is that a lot of countries went about infrastructure for communications in different ways, and I think South Korea is probably in the top 3, if not top 5, for the fastest internets in the world. Like they spent,
and they have been for a long time.
I mean, I think
Japan's
Japan's probably maybe somewhere around there as well. Like, but goddamn, Japan's like streaming 8K in TV news. Like, if you want news more real,
8K,
8K Japanese
That's too
television.
many Ks, fam.
So I mean, think about your job. Think about live streaming. Think about uploading, downloading, doing video, like watching video in higher resolution. It's more, it's more consuming you because you're looking for more finer nuanced details.
Right.
And no latency, no lag. You know all the things about buffering and issues. Think about how much time you spend like with issues and things don't load, and speed of stuff or slowing things down. But just being able to be like,
it's just instantaneous. Yeah. It's literally like magic.
It's just your time to do something. Imagine being a video editor and just being like, okay, like perfectly for Steamcasting, right? If I wanted to upload a 4-hour block of content that I've edited together, and it's like, I don't know, 4 gig, and it's uploaded in like 30 seconds, like that's a game changer, because it's 30 seconds of my time, but it's 4 hours of content. Right. So I can literally edit it in the morning, upload it, and be out and done. And and I think that's the reason why a lot of these countries have revolutionized themselves in terms of media, because and they won't be expensive either, because they will have spent the money in the right place. I feel like a lot of countries put middlemen in front of things, and we kill innovation and pace because of it, and people just disappear to other countries. They just get even don't get headhunted. They just get fed up with the status quo, and they just leave.
I think the younger than us generations, are going to be. They're not going to be bothered. I don't feel like they have any allegiance to where they're at. It's like,
well, think about it. If Elon Musk actually gets BFR working, the big fucking rocket, if he gets that working, I can jump on, if I have the money, of course. Like, if we're all crypto by then, I mean, completely, instead of no fiat, no paper, no Amazon trees getting cut down. Wouldn't that be nice? If I can jump on BFR and be in Seoul in 40 minutes, like I go and...
That's your morning commute.
Right. And then you've got super high speed stuff. You do all your stuff there. You do all
Probably
your
get a
editing there.
week's worth of work done in a day.
You know, imagine Upwork 2065, where it's like, yeah, the tickets all booked. You just have to go to London, 2 hours trip, bang, on the BFR, bang, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Do the actual...
What's that going to do to our bodies, though? What is that going to do to your physical body?
Well, by then we'll be already augmenting them anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll probably have little submarines inside of us. It would make sense for me that
With
Elon...
Martin Short in them?
Maybe not Martin Short, because
That was such a great movie.
Terrible taste in music. But apart from that, imagine SpaceX doing like submarines that can go inside your body and fix stuff, or like, I don't know, man. I think
nanorobots.
I think everything's going to be augmented.
Oh hell yeah! Give me some of those nanorobots. Fix my back.
We talk of IoT. I mean, it could be HOT, hot humans on tech.
Oh,
hot technology.
Maybe we're the things in the Internet of Things.
Maybe.
Wow. That was deep.
Yeah, that was deep. Let's move on strictly 30 minutes later. Lessons, things learned about... so basically South Korea is like moving shit around really quick.
They're killing it. I knew that
I would love to live there. I would love to live there.
I know. I knew that their internet speeds, always knew their internet speeds put ours to shame. I did not know that it was to that scale. 4.8. I mean, if you had gigabit internet on your phone in the States, you'd be like,
well, they've only just tested
Superfly.
that. They've only just tested that, like the 5 gig and it's a custom version of that 5 gig. And I think it was the new Samsung 10 phone which supported it, but it's because it's MIMO, so you're basically getting 1.2 gig through each aerial, and there's 4 aerials.
Right, and you're stacking them.
Yeah, so it was MIMO dash or something else, some kind of long, a bit like LTE, which is long tail evolution or something. Just a basic way of somebody like making it more efficient. Mm-hmm. So the phone's got 4 aerials, which basically means I can accept 4 1.2 gig connections.
Right.
Which is crazy. I mean, one of them is, if one of your aerials is not working, you're still doing all right.
do you need to bring Facebook up?
Somebody's going to have to fix that like speed test meter, because that thing's just going to be cranked.
Right. Like I remember, like my dad's a BMW mechanic, so like I grew up in old BMWs. That's the cars that we just had in our houses, and if you've ever noticed, like especially in the old BMWs, 80 miles an hour is about at 12 o'clock. Right. So I feel
that's true, yeah.
Yeah, like they adjust the speedometers. So I would get into other cars and be like,
it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, where am I? What's happening? So this week I learned, I'm learning, I don't know, I feel like self-awareness is probably the best skill that you can develop, and that's something I'm always trying to develop. We had a little bit of like a debate the other day, and it kind of all boiled down to, I think some people are very intuition based, and for me, I'm one of those people, and I'm really interested on dialing down what are the parameters that add up to me having an intuition feeling about somebody, something, a job, a project, or whatever. You know, like I kind of like feel like I exist in between the worlds of being like hyper analytical and Vulcan and being very like mystical, and like, yes, it's just what I feel in my intuition and my spider senses. So like, what's happening in the overlap there? What's happening in the real world, or in my experiences and my personal biases, that adds up to me having a gut feeling, or is it just like my spirit animals trying to talk to me? I don't know.
I think that's the biggest issue with the human condition, the human species, is that everybody's desperate to find 42 for them. The answer 42. Like, what's the answer to everything? 42. Right, everybody's looking for the 42 that fits them. Yeah. Right? They're not happy, and people are not happy with that answer. Like, you can't say, well, 42 what? Like, what does 42 mean? Right. Well, I think every day, constantly, we're bombarded with information and topics, and, you know, you have to make a split-second decision about your opinion on something, which, with our brains and our ecosystem and micro beads in the water, like, how can we possibly get all these things right all of the time? Yeah. I don't believe we can. So
you can't. Your brain can't hold enough data to make a correct decision.
I think being self-aware to be able to jettison that stuff and realize that it will enact itself when it's more relevant to you.
Yeah, things do come all the way back around. There's always been this discipline in philosophy that I love, which is there's like this picture of having a barrel of apples, and some of them are fine to eat and some of them are rotten, and the things that you believe and the things that you build your worldview around are like this barrel of apples, and you're supposed to regularly go through and look at them each one by one and be like, all right, cool, this doesn't serve me anymore, that's a bad apple, I'm not gonna take that with me into the future. Or, you know, this belief that I had is really just based on like a bad experience I had with this person, that doesn't serve me anymore. So I'm always kind of like in the process, probably since it was my birthday recently, like, you know, turning over a new year and thinking about what are these like biases or feelings that serve me, or maybe I developed in order to protect myself that I don't need anymore, or you know, anything. There's just, I think when we have gut feelings about like, ugh, that person, or like, ugh, eye roll or whatever, it's like I'm interested in what triggers those things for me. Is that just a protection that I've put up for myself, or is there something really there?
Right.
And what does that mean?
Right.
So that's not really something I learned, but that's something I want to keep exploring.
It means whatever you want it to mean for you, doesn't it, really? And you can shape it in whatever you want. You know, it isn't, and it's going to be relevant for the time. It's still trying to find a resolution, whatever way you look at it. It's a resolution matrix, right?
And I think I'm less concerned about the answer, and more concerned about going through the process and making sure whatever the answer is authentic. Instead of being like, oh, I really hope I'm right, or I hope, you know, it's about like scientific bias, right? If you're hoping to prove yourself right, then you're going to look for things and piece things together that aren't necessarily there because you have a bias. So, like, kind of maintaining objectiveness about yourself, and like that's what I'm on about self-awareness, you know.
Most of the time, I've been the most authentic when I've never cared about the situation. And that sounds like insincere, selfish, stubborn, all those things. But when I start applying my journey, my feelings, my emotions onto a decision that my brain has come up with, I'm looking for resolution by doing that, I feel.
So then that feels forced to you.
Yeah, well, you're not allowing it to breathe then. Yeah, it doesn't breathe then. Is that the de facto then for everybody in that particular style? Are you stylizing the way that data is stored? It's like having a filing cabinet and being really anal about like the bits of paper on the side of the filing cabinet. You know, it's like, no, this must be in the red section. Like this. Why is this fucking yellow folder in the fucking red section?
Right.
You know, so. The problem with that is there's always a better file structure. Always.
Damn, you're not kidding.
Everybody's got a better file structure that works for them.
Right.
So I kind of feel maybe that's just computers that have made me that way, but
maybe that's what is authentic. Not to have like a cop-out answer, but maybe that's what is authentic to you. Whereas somebody who is like, is that carer, give a fuck type of person who is borderlines on OCD.
I think everybody...
Like that's what's authentic to them, is to care on that level.
I think what is authentic to me is when the world, the universe, people meet me halfway.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Because at least then you can go on the rest of the journey together.
Yeah.
Rather than be waving at somebody from the end. Like, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
That's beautiful.
Thanks. Next up, things you're in the process of improving on, tightening the bolts on.
Yeah, I feel like we've been talking a lot about me. I want to talk to you about what are the things that you have found in your daily life that are making your freelance life easier, or your time at the machine easier, besides breads, because that makes everything easier. But what are things that you've like optimized recently, like within the past week, that you're like, oh man, that makes things so much easier? Well,
it's not in the last week. I would say in the last 2 weeks, and it's only really started to hit home this week. Is my breathing.
Okay.
I'm realizing that a lot of my I think, I'm not completely certain on this, but I think a lot of my focus issues that I had before you got over here was to do with my breathing, oxygen, just my brain.
And the wind beneath your wings. Okay.
And now that I have a brown steroid inhaler, I feel like having that at night and in the morning, like she told me to have, I feel like that's helped me. I'm really focused up right now on a lot of the asset management stuff. I know what I need for each part of things to take off, to happen, to market things better.
That's so, like, that makes such a difference, feeling like you have a roadmap for yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A lot of times it feels like I just throw things to the wall and see what sticks. But when you feel like you have a clear plan, that just helps so much.
I think the world changes so quickly now that things are relevant for so long. Plus, you got to remember as well, where you read a news story about the AIs taking over jobs and doing this, that there's an unconscious shift that you don't hear about, but you kind of see through things like Upwork, where you see like people just being like, I've now been finally brave enough to finish my job and I want to set up this, you know, and you can see the dream and the personal validation of
the clients who are coming and looking for help. Yeah.
But all I see is people who've managed to, you know, put their head down for 5 years and save some money up, and now they want to go it themselves, but they probably don't realise there's 100,000 other people trying to do the same thing. So I kind of look for the gaps. So I guess at the moment I feel like all the stuff that we enjoy to do, all the things that I know we're good at, I feel like the more you put stuff out, the faster you get to the resolution on why something didn't work. I mean, people always say like fail fast, but I get it now more than anything about the fail fast.
Yeah.
Is that there's always something else to work on. There's always another tool. There's always another person turning up. It's a bit like yesterday, you know, like potentially an Upwork client come out of nowhere, which could serve you really well for the next year, next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. It's a hard question to answer in completeness, and I like to answer things in completeness, but
maybe I can narrow it more.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Has anything changed when you like sit down at your machine for the day about the way that you approach your projects, or the way you organize your thoughts? Like that startup energy in the morning, I know is really hard for me personally to like get myself going, and instead of just blankly staring and being like, I know I'm supposed to be here at the computer, but I don't know what to do with myself. Like, do you have anything that's changed recently in terms of how you just like step into the day and how you kind of get that momentum going for yourself, besides like copious amounts of coffee?
Not in the last week or so. I mean, if I have, it's all tied down to the breathing thing and the oxygen in my brain. I feel more sharper than I have in a while. I'm not getting through my list as much as I want to, but I feel like the stuff around the edges is always stuff that comes into is always stuff that's building up to something. Like I feel like when things are like this right now, it's always because I needed to do this stuff, so that when I get over the hill, like
the foundational stuff.
So, and it's weird as well because it's March time. It's always South by Southwest, like around this time in Austin, Texas. And I always used to do this. I always like January, February, March. I used to always like, right, I want to tighten the nuts on all of this stuff. I want this to be more polished. I want it to be easier. I don't want to worry about hosting. I want to cut this bill down. Like just because I'm obsessed with optimizing more than anything. I want to use this tool or this platform, or you know, everybody's talking about SaaS now. So you know, when I get into those conversations in Austin with somebody from Dell who's like, you know, booted and suited and making 200k a year, I can be like, oh yeah, all my stuff's SaaS now. Yeah, I use this great site called card.co, and like, you know, I pay a fee for that and it's taken care of. I don't worry about hosting anymore, yada yada. So all of those things incrementally add up. But I think when I sit at the computer at the moment, I'm still frustrated that I don't have a faster machine, a faster internet connection, but that's just stuff. You know, that's just stuff. I feel like from a domain perspective, I feel like I'm doing more with that. I feel like the blockchain is opening up more opportunities now than it ever has in the last 2 years.
What are some of the ways that you've adapted or like reacted to the fact that that's a frustration of like the machine and the computer, like the internet not being fast enough? Like, what are the ways that you've...
How do I mitigate it?
Listen to that rain. yeah. Like, how do you mitigate the frustration emotionally, but also have you done anything in terms of like just practically, like in terms of optimizing that make things faster?
You can't make something that's this amount old. You can't do it. It's you know, it's like a conversation I had a long time ago with a guy with the heater that's in this van. It's from 1985. It uses 2,000 watts every time you switch it on and on high speed. Right now, if I tried to turn it on, I'd be like, oh, no, because it's just like seized up, broken, whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, I rang up a guy and he was like, yeah, I can come out and service it and it's going to cost you 150 quid. It's like, so basically you're just going to clean it and bring it back to what it was, but it's still going to be energy inefficient.
Right, because at its peak it was energy inefficient.
Right, but 25 years or whatever, 30 years has gone since then, so it makes sense for me to, even though you could keep it going by patching it up, I could replace it and it'd be more energy efficient and cost me less in the long term. So I always mitigate the things that I can't have by just putting my head down and just being like, if it happens one day, it happens one day.
If the universe wants me to have it, I'll have it.
Yeah, I kind of. Oh, it's going to be really, really loud with the rain now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because we're doing a podcast, but we are at 44 minutes.
The universe wants us to stop. We're getting the universe's version of da-na-na-na.
Maybe we should stop because I don't think anybody really wants to listen to that for 5 or 10, 15 minutes at the end of maybe we'll just wrap it up here. Well, because it's going to get too crazy. But I would say that I don't get frustrated by it. I feel like sometimes you have to deserve it, so that means you have to work towards it. I like it when it's more of a surprise, when it's kind of like when it happens and you kind of like put it out there into the world that you wanted it, but it's not going to change who I am and what I do and how I go about it just because I want it, because there's more important things to be concerned about,
like breads.
Like bread. I mean, if my computer stopped working today or like powered down or there was something wrong with it, like, you just have to change. You adapt.
Yeah.
Like anything, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, in a perfect world, I would love to have something where the residuals are coming in and I could have a video camera in my hand and actually go out into the world and meet people who are, like, practitioners are in their own right and just make a living off that. Like, what I know I'm good at. But those times come. If you try and force them, then they happen, but not for as long as you want them to happen, I find.
Yeah, right. Or like the soil isn't prepped for that type of seed yet.
Right. So I mean, it looks chaos from the outside because there's lots of things I'm interested in from lots of different angles. But
yes, with strands.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just tinkering away at a bunch of this stuff and gradually improving, relearning. There's loads of new tools and new approaches, and I've been playing around with templates that get me super excited because it's such a time saver. I can literally fire that up and record a thing about it and it's done.
In ScreenFlow, right?
Yeah. And then I get incentivized by...
Oh, so there you go. There's one. Yeah. Like, there's a big one, really, because if that...
But I worked towards that, you see. Yeah. I wanted ScreenFlow.
Yeah.
And it was a certain price. And so then I gradually upgraded. The one I let go was Wirecast because it was getting crazy with the pricing, but as soon as I got ScreenFlow, I was like, I've got to get into this because I paid for it, or we paid for it. So like, I've got to make it work for me.
It wouldn't have been the same.
I probably won't use it.
Yeah.
It's a bit like courses. People like have you watched the course? Did you watch the course? Did you like go through it? It's funny is that people's interactions with stuff. It's like, I know I need to get this, so I'm going to get it now, and then at the weekend I'm going to do it, and then they never do it. Yeah. Like, how much stuff have we...
But that goes back to that thing of like talking about your goal gives you the mental satisfaction that you did it. Like, I wonder if that falls under that category of like buying the course makes me feel like, oh, I'm closer to it, and so I have this satisfaction that I've done something when really you didn't do jack.
Well, it's a bit like those fundamentals we were talking about earlier on. It's like, I know I will get something enjoyable out of learning a new skill. I know that there's people in my work realm who are using services and being charged a lot of money by people who are like not making it look like it's a hard job to do. But I just want to simplify that. Like, I just want a piece of that pie. Yeah. You know, so if I can do it and I can put it up. Yeah. It's been really interesting to me actually to see that we still live in a very, very like permission economy world. Like, you have to play the game, you have to like be in the little groups, and you have to be a certain kind of way before somebody's like, oh yeah, they're okay, or they're okay, and then all of a sudden the work flows because it's okay to be associated with such and such. So for all of the wonders that decentralized networks are bringing us, there's still that permission economy that's like being brought over, because the middlemen have to go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And they're leaking into the
decentralized. We'll just be trying to get permission from the algorithm.
Yeah, we don't need permission from the algorithm. The algorithm doesn't give a shit. Just as long as it's being fed electricity, then it doesn't care. All right, that's pretty much us for today.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the outro and make sure I've actually got it in front of me. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with me today.
Oh, wow. I didn't have any place else to go.
Well,
but I'm still happy I'm here.
All right. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
You can support the show by heading to anchor.fm/positive and clicking the Support This Podcast button, or by checking out any of this week's sponsors.
Subscribe to Positively Negative wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can hang out with us on Discord by visiting smarturl.it/talkback.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Yay! Bye!